Hello everyone, I'm Chris Kotlowski, and I'm thrilled to be here this afternoon with Mark Petersen. He does spiritual direction, and I've been fortunate enough to have a few sessions with him. So I just thought it would be fun to just sit down and discuss what it's all about, so that maybe if you find that you're in a situation, it might be something for you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chris. It's a joy to be with you today.
Wonderful. Let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
You served a congregation for many years, and then you retired about 8 years ago.
I retired, and then I got invited back into a part-time position in a congregation up on the east side of Madison called Messiah.
Okay.
But when I retired, I decided that I would do spiritual direction and meet with people one-on-one or in a retreat setting as well.
And it's been about 8 years that you've been.
And I've been doing spiritual direction for about 8 years now, and I do it primarily one-on-one with individuals, but I'm also exploring doing it with small groups.
Okay, that would be fabulous. Sometimes if you're with a friend or maybe your spouse, it's a journey you can take together. So that
absolutely.
And maybe it's also topics of the group. You know, if you're working on a certain thing, is that correct? Or?
That's absolutely right. I just got asked by a group of people in Milwaukee, West Dallas, and Racine area if I would be willing to do group spirituality with them.
Okay.
And that would be a little bit of teaching, but then it's their own exploring within themselves during that time as well.
Okay. So with that, I know someone that's watching is thinking, well, what is spiritual direction?
What is it?
So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I offer spiritual direction with a bit of compassion, but also a calming presence. Mm-hmm. And I do it with people who are interested in exploring
mm-hmm.
their inner essence, their journey, their spiritual journey along the way. Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity. I spent a lifetime in the work that I did being a storyteller. And now what I'm doing is I'm helping other people articulate their own story. And so after years of storytelling, and I come out of the Christian perspective, but I'm open to meeting with people from all faiths, interfaith as well. Mm-hmm. But it's that ability, I'm a grandpa.
So congratulations.
I am. I'm a papa to 4. And one of the beautiful things that my 4 grandchildren love to do mm-hmm. is they love to listen to a story. Once upon a time, that it began in the beginning, and you start with the story and they go with it. But they start to find themselves within that story.
Right.
And as we learn how to tell our story, it's important that we do so with a good understanding of who we are and where we've come from. And I'm listening, doing some deep listening with people, mm-hmm. but I go on a journey with them. And it's a moment of exploring curiosity and wonder and what amazes people and gives them energy. But I've always believed that we have been given everything that we need to succeed. And sometimes it's getting in touch with that giftedness that's within us mm-hmm. and to understand that in a deeper way. So a lot of times spiritual direction can be moments where people are discerning a transition in their life or moving in a different direction, like I did to move into spiritual direction. It was really a liminal space, kind of walking across the threshold into something new. A lot of times spiritual direction is exactly that. Other times it's as simple as sharing the joys and sorrows and challenges of life that we all experience. Or maybe it's, hitting up against an obstacle, and it's not that a spiritual director offers advice or how-to kinds of things.
Right.
but it helps. I'm there to help people get in touch with the tools that they already have.
So it's really self-discovery. And I think with many people that are probably watching this, life gets in the way and we just get these roadblocks, and it's sometimes we need to stop and catch up with life in order to go forward. But having the person just know their story. And so many of us, I think, we are bouncing from one thing to the next thing, from busy lives, being parents, being grandparents, working, taking care of elderly, that the connections of our own life and our own history, really, it takes some time to really get back in touch with ourselves.
Absolutely.
I know for me, it's easy to go, and like stop the press.
Yeah.
And like, I love what you said about it's already there in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's within us. So you don't give advice, but your calming nature to me is very inviting to find the answers for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But that is very scary.
It is, and it can be a frightening experience when you all of a sudden pause and you take a deep breath, mm-hmm. and you begin to look honestly at where you are, or where you've been, or where you are in relationship with someone else. Mm-hmm. And it's always better when you can do that with a companion or with someone that will walk alongside you, not mm-hmm. judge you,
right?
But someone that would listen. You know what it's like when you know that you've been listened deeply, when someone has listened deeply to you, there's a sense in which they're holding you, even though they're not saying anything, mm-hmm. but you feel a sense in which you're being held.
Yes, that's a great analogy. You feel secure, and what happens after that? You become braver and more vulnerable to continue to kind of delve deeper into maybe some of the layers that have built up over years, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's that relaxing and that pausing and that breathing deeply, mm-hmm. where all of a sudden you begin to notice, and you begin to notice radically amazing things around you that, because of the way life was just moving along,
right,
you didn't see it before.
It's always there. It was just,
yeah,
you didn't see it as it was transpiring.
All ages. I have 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings. I have a man who's dying right now. I have elderly. I have people in their 80s. So it's all different ages. I have both genders. I have people of all different walks of life. People that I do see, mm-hmm. are people who have made a connection with someone that is in spiritual direction.
Okay.
And then by word of mouth, they have heard of others that have done this, and they begin to explore, well, what does that mean? You know? Now that spiritual direction goes deep in the church. I mean, there's been centuries of it over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing absolutely new.
Okay.
But it is something that has taken on some new energy, particularly in the last decade. There have been more people that have been particularly curious about their spiritual journey and curious about, we balance life and we balance our health and we balance all these parts of our lives, but not necessarily looking seriously at our spiritual journey as well.
Well, and I think about the rise of journal writing
Yes.
and meditation, and also just being health conscious. So we want to eat healthy foods, we want to exercise, and that's all the exterior, well, interior as well. But journaling, meditating, spiritual direction is all going inside.
Yes.
And I find that when I'm working with people, if we let the exterior go and we search internally for our own understanding and be bold, on the other side of that is so much more joy and freedom. And I really just want to encourage everyone to take those steps: journal writing, meditation, talking with a friend, talking with someone that does spiritual direction, or a therapist.
Yes.
The saddest thing is ignoring those promptings that are within us to maybe pause, like you said, and look at something or give attention to something. But the saddest thing is if we ignore those things.
Right.
And
you've just been talking about major tools of spiritual direction.
okay.
Breathing deeply, pausing, meditation, reflection, silence.
Silence.
Just
Not always easy.
No, it's not. But sometimes just taking a moment of deep silence, even before you start in spiritual direction, really helps people clean out what they're coming from, or their work, or something that happened at home before they arrive. So I always like to start with lighting a candle.
Okay.
And I like to start with a period of silence. And normally when I gather with someone, we normally sit like this,
Okay.
and with the candle between us. And after the silence, I normally would have some reflective poetry. Sometimes it's a reflective reading or a thought.
Okay.
And then we just pause into silence for a little bit. And then I allow everyone that comes to see me time to go where they want to go.
So there isn't a set agenda, per se.
No, and we begin to explore. I may open up with a reflection that might trigger something, but for the most part, people have been doing their spiritual direction all through the month.
Okay.
And then when they get there to meet with me in this particular room, they've already been thinking about the kinds of things, discernment and reflection and joys or sorrows or obstacles that they want to work through.
So most people that say, I think I want to check this out, you meet with individuals once a month for an hour?
I do. For most of the people that I meet with, it's monthly.
Okay.
There's a couple of situations where it's more than that, but it's because of a particular issue. But it's normally once a month. Once in a while, I have a client a seeker that comes for spiritual direction that wants to meet quarterly, 4 times a year.
Okay.
So it's flex. But I've been watching this new, it's not a new show, 9 seasons of it, called Call the Midwife on Netflix.
Okay.
And I, with my wife Peggy, we've been watching it and we've just really been enjoying it. And it's about midwives giving birth to children on the east side of London in a place called Poplar, and it's beautiful. But as I've been watching it, I've been thinking about spiritual direction, because I look at spiritual direction like a midwife does with a mother giving birth. It's how can I help that person articulate help them give birth to that story, to that moment, to that discernment, to that awareness or noticing within themselves the gifts that they have.
That's a really neat.
To face what they need to face.
To face, and what a key way to think, or to think about that. Face what we need to face. Because if we don't face whatever it is, all negative comes from there, right?
Yeah.
Negative outcomes will happen.
And you said it earlier about fear. You know, sometimes it's how do we move through our fear?
Mm-hmm.
Because on the other side, you know, fear on the other side of fear is joy. And so when you can move through that other side, and sometimes it just takes what Margaret Gunther called holy listening, just a sacred holding of someone's story and listening deeply to them where they feel confident enough and joyful about their own journey, that this is an opportunity for them.
Well, and I think that's one of the most powerful things, is that when we are to a point where we can share our story and we can talk about whatever has happened in our lives, good and bad, but when you can experience it and tell your story, that's the process of healing and accepting, so that you can allow to be able to be open to that much more that is to come. So I just have one more question, and you might have more to add. In what you do when you work with people, you said it's not rehashing. So you get to know an individual, maybe, and I think you have a questionnaire that they fill out, and you get to know them, you know, what their background is, but it's not per se you're going to walk them through all those times of life. It's only if maybe there isn't closure. Is that correct?
I think people seek spiritual direction for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just to learn a deeper sense of their own personal story, or maybe they're exploring something of the divine that they want to learn more about.
Or it could be a transition of life, going from having children at home to being empty nesters, or retirement, becoming grandparents, or maybe just getting married, or maybe just having children, or, you know, being a college student and leaving home for the first time, right? So it's really life experiences, and enjoying and working through life's transition in the most healthiest way, so you can embrace the transition.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
You got it. And you know, the beautiful thing about the way you put that is that I think whenever we're going through transitions in our lives, whether it's going to empty nesters or it's you know, it's in one situation it's becoming parents for the first time, and that's a whole new, that's a liminal space. That's a beautiful time to be able to do that and to walk with someone during that time, or have someone listen to that story that may have been or experienced, or not giving necessarily feedback, but holding that story with an awareness in their own lives.
Right.
And it's that deep sense of listening that makes it.
And you do that so well. You do that so well. And I think the other thing that you encourage people to practice is being where we're at.
Yes.
So many times we want to fast forward through life or look ahead, well, when that happens. And during that, when that happens, this is happening. This moment.
How to be in the present, right? You know, that's what meditation does for us. It grounds us in the present moment. It's not thinking about tomorrow. It's not regretting yesterday. It's living with joy and a sense of identity in the present moment. And that if people are in the present, there's a joy that they recognize.
Well, my joy right now is that you took the time to talk with me this afternoon, and that I get to share it with...
It's an honor to be able to share it with all of you, because for me, I love what I do, and I get it, and whenever I get an opportunity to midwife someone's story with articulation, I love it. And it's deeply, I should probably share with what it's not.
Okay.
It's not
Let's go with
therapy. It's
Not
not
therapy.
counseling.
Not counseling.
It's not being a teacher. It's being a deep listener.
A listener.
Yeah.
A compassionate listener. And what I do want to say too, without judgment, it's just accepting who we are, where we are for right now.
In where we are in the present moment.
In the
You're
present
absolutely
moment,
right.
Well, anything else you want to add?
No.
That we haven't covered?
I'm good.
Maybe we'll have to get together again and we'll have different topics
I would
to
love
share. If you have any topics that you would like Mark and I to kind of investigate or talk about, please let us know. And I will put his information below this video. You can call him, you can email him, and I will also share he has a detailed brochure so you can read about what you do and how you help others.
Yeah, and the brochure clarifies some other things as well. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
you're welcome.
We'll see you guys soon. Thank you.